All right, looks like we are live here. Welcome. It is Sunday. It's a beautiful day, and it's my first live stream. I'm sure we'll have tons of problems. I'm hoping the audio works. Hope you guys can see me. I'm hearing myself in the background, so it's screwing me up, but it's the first one. Welcome. You know, I plan on doing this every Sunday, and I want to have even more obscure kind of relating different aspects of like animals to motorcycles and really just kind of playing around with this whole live stream thing. I think it's fun. I like interacting with everyone. So if you're here, leave a message or talk in the little chat here. I'll definitely be paying probably more attention to it than I probably should. But hey, I'm new to this. We'll learn as we go, okay? Okay, so the topic for today is how Ducatis are like pit bulls. And you're like, X-Ram, how is a dog and a bike anywhere close to being related? They're related in the sense that they're misunderstood. There's a lot of misconceptions between the two, and that's kind of what this video is about. How to disbar some of the really bad connotations between the two. And for starters, there's that reliability issue that Ducati has or had in the past, and for whatever reason that's still carried over to today. There's a lot of people, a lot of different ideologies out there that no matter what Ducati it is, it's crap, it's going to break down, you're going to have problems with it. And you know what? I've had them for 8 years now. I've had 4 different ones now that I got the Street Fighter, and I've had one issue. My $11.99 when I first got it, for whatever reason, the exhaust valve modular, whatever was on it, but the flapper valve, there's a little cable. It popped off the track that it was on, and it would stay shut. So when you would accelerate, exhaust is closed, you have no power, you just kind of fall on your face. And that was the only issue. I mean, it took a month to get, so if people say it takes time to get parts, well, yeah, they're not lying. It does take time, but it was covered under warranty. They got taken care of, and that is literally the only issue I've ever had with the Ducati. I even got T-boned on that bike, and aside from having to replace the rear set, no issues. My $12.99 worked beautifully. V4 Speciale, same thing. And so far, Street Fighter, I mean, I've only had it for a little bit, but it works great. Now you're like, okay, how does this pertain to a dog? How does it pertain to pit bulls? Well, it's the same thing as the reliability is the unpredictability of a pit bull. People are like, you never know, it could just snap. It's got this thing in them that they just go crazy. And yeah, it just isn't true. I've owned pit bulls, you know, and they're the sweetest animals I've ever had, and their demeanor is pleasing to humans. Like that's all they want to do is make you as the owner happy. And while the Ducati doesn't necessarily care about you as the owner, sometimes they like to be finicky, but in the end, it still works, you know, just like the dog. It's a great dog. It works. There's no issues with it. And the kind of part that I want to bring together here is like the owners. The owners are always going to be the ones that are like, oh no, they're great. The bikes are great. The dogs are great. But the people outside of it just think, well, you're being kind of biased because you have it or own one. So yeah. Ducatis and pit bulls. Pretty interesting, right? Let's see here. Anybody out there? I see a few people watching. That's awesome. A little more than I expected. I expected maybe one. It's so weird because I have in the background me watching. This is so distracting, so new. Like there's different things that'll pop up, but so I have like me looking at the camera right now, and then in the corner of my eye, I have the screen of what I'm doing, and it's delayed a little bit, so my hand gestures are catching my eye, and I'm like, it's definitely a learning curve. Yes, Toad FPV. It is down to the owners, and to me, it's also the training, which is another aspect of the dog and bike relationship here. Is Ducatis are notoriously tricky bikes to ride, and they have their quirks about them. And training is one of those huge things that starts to mitigate those little idiosyncrasies of the bike. And same thing with the dog. If you don't ever correct it and you don't use positive reinforcement, you don't train it to behave the way you'd like it to behave, absolutely you're going to have problems with it. Just like riding. If you go to ride a Ducati and you're going to hammer on it the same way that you would hammer on an inline four, you're going to find that you're going to have some issues, because those bikes, they take a little bit of effort to learn how to ride. And while, you know, the newer ones are definitely a lot more user friendly, you can go back to the 2013s, it's not even that far, and you'll see how far the Ducatis have come as far as their ease ability to ride. Because, man, the 1199 was such a quirky bike. Like, the throttle had to be super smooth on, the brakes had to be smooth on. Like, I went from a CBR 600 to 1199. I'm like, well, this was stupid, but you know, you learn. And if you don't learn, well, unfortunately, you'll find out the hard way that that bike's different, and it's gonna suck for you. Ultimately, it's also gonna be very expensive for you. So, just like the dogs, take the time, learn, train, and really, really get a good feel to, one, how a bike rides, and two, how a dog reacts to certain things, what motivates them. It's just like a bike. Ducatis are motivated by RPM. They love to be revved. They love to be ridden hard. Dogs, some of them are affectionate. Some of them are affectionate. They like that connection. Other ones, like my Rottweiler, is food motivated. You put anything in front of his face, he's like, I'll listen, whatever you say, as long as you give me some food. Oh, man. You know, it's interesting to try to talk for any more than 30 minutes. I'm struggling at 7 right now. So I don't get how people do 2 hours, but they probably are a little better prepared than I am. We kind of threw this together. I finally got the parts to be able to live stream Wednesday. So I've been playing with it all morning to get it to work, because I set the camera up and then it didn't work. And then I didn't have audio. And then I had too much audio. Like, I was recording from the camera and then I was recording from something else, and it just reverberated back. So I'm hoping my audio is nice and clear. I'm hoping the video is nice and clear. It says I have an excellent connection. Hopefully it stays that way, because as we progress in the future, I'm going to start learning how to put up different scenes. Like, when we actually talk about different category or topics, I'm going to try to go online and pull up my screen and show like a web page or something like that. But for now, it's just me. You get to look at my face. Weirdo. Thanks, Toad FPV. If you guys haven't looked at Toad FPV, he is the dude that goes around and chases me with the drone. I found these FPV guys because they add such another level to the videos I like to do, and I've actually noticed that they are great for training. You know, when we had them chasing around the track, I could actually see the lines that I was taking and the person that was chasing me was taking. You can see, you know, where I was turning in, how early I was braking, which most of the time was too early, and kind of learn from it. So if you have anybody that does FPV drones and you want to learn if your riding is where you need to be, whether it's street, track, dirt, what have you, these guys are great because they'll keep up with you. I mean, his drone does, what, 150 now? So it's just another level. I don't know, little side note. We'll try to stay on topic here, but like I said, it's Pitbulls are like Ducatis, or Ducatis are like Pitbulls. You know, what I find a lot about misconceptions of animals and bikes is a lot of the information that's given and that people latch onto are from a friend of a friend's. Like, oh yeah, my buddy's friend had this Ducati and it never ran. And that's all the context you get. You don't get that, well, it didn't run because it was never serviced properly. Or it didn't run because it had been crashed and never fully repaired. Or it didn't run because people do wheelies on them all the time and set them down hard and blow out the fork seals, and then they say the bike rides like crap. Again, you have to really dig down to see what the context of what these people are saying and really look into, is it just that bit of information that you want to latch onto, or is there a bigger picture? So again, with the bikes, do your own research. Talk to people like myself or those that have owned Ducatis for years. I know a lot of people have owned like the 748s and like the 996 that I reviewed, and just them over time. And yes, there's little quirks about them, and some of them are a maintenance, I won't say nightmare, but they're going to work on them for a long time, especially the older stuff. And that's kind of what makes them interesting. You get in that realm where people were like, oh, I want a Harley because I just want to work on it. We can work on an old Ducati too, because there's not a ton of electronics to it. And with that, you get to really appreciate the bike even more. And the newer ones, like I said, I haven't had any issues. I've also had friends that haven't had issues. I've had friends that have had issues, but again, there's such little things that, I don't know, they're covered under warranty. And what's interesting, the V4 Ducati Panigale used to have a ton of recalls. I mean, when I got my special, I think the first 6 months to a year, I had 5 to 8 different recalls. And one of those was one of the ones, like if you go to a dealership and say you just get the oil changed, they won't let you leave with the bike because it's that big of a change that is needed, and or big of a recall. Like they hold it, I think it's called like red tag or something like that. I don't know. There's a fancy name, but that's only happened once. And again, while it's inconvenient, it's of no cost to you. And if your dealership's cool, some of them will let you just take a bike for a week. It's like for me, when I had that exhaust valve issue, I got to keep a bike for a couple weeks, and then I got to go ride a bunch of other ones on another weekend. When I had the recalls done, I had a bike for a week and a half. I got to keep it, and not all dealerships are like that, but when you have big recalls, especially for something like a Panigale that does cost a little bit, your dealerships are usually more inclined to work with you. So it's a great thing about them. And trying to go back to dogs here, it's an interesting transition when you go that, because obviously a pit bull isn't going to have a recall on it. But in the sense that, say you get it from a pound, or you rescue one and you don't know its history, you can actually take the time to really learn about the dog. You can take the time to see, what irritates it. Say it's eating and you try to pet its head and it snaps at you. It's got a food aggression, right? So it's the same thing with bikes. There's so much that correlate between the two. I know I'm kind of babbling here at 13 minutes. My goal was 15. So we're coming up towards the end of this. But Ducatis and Pitbulls are very similar. They have that very big misconception, and it's really up to the people that own them. Take it to the vet to upgrade the version 2.0. That's right. They put a little chip in there and it makes them just run around and be nicer or something. I lost my train of thought. See, this is tricky. I don't know how people do it. I guess it's because they have other ones helping them, but you can put something in the chat and I'll read it and just be totally thrown off by it. Squirrel. Oh, crap. What was I talking about? I don't know. It's amazing what happens when you lose your train of thought. And it's even worse when you're on camera and it's live. And now people are like, well, this dude's crazy. Anyways, as we progress with live stream, they're going to be a little more structured than what this one was. Like I said, there's a lot of things going through the mind. I even have notes over here, but they're of no use to me. Once I get on a roll, I kind of just let it go. Yeah, but I like talking to you guys. It's how I am. That's the whole. Honestly, this whole live stream's to converse with people, and that's what I like doing more than going off of topics. But you got a point. I'm talking to Toad FPV again. He's my man. That and I think he's probably bored, or like most people that catch live streams, you're in the bathroom. That's where I catch most live streams. I'm taking a nice dump. All right, guys. I appreciate y'all hanging in here. I know it was a kind of a obscure topic, and that's kind of what I wanted to do. Wanted to see if there was a huge debate one way or the other. And you know what? It was fun. I look forward to more of these. Like I said, it'll be a good bit more structured next time. So next week, I'm going to open up to you guys. I'd like you to send me on Instagram some messages, or actually on this live stream in the comment section, what topic. I know I'm going to come up with one, but I'd like to also have a topic from you guys. So with that, I hope you all have a wonderful Sunday. I'm going to go probably ride because it finally cleared up. The V4 Street Fighter is fantastic, and I cannot wait to get some more content on it. I actually have a video coming Friday of the first ride. I meant to do it this Friday, but yeah, that didn't happen, obviously. So next Friday, look for that video. But with that, you all have a good one. I'm out.